And it's one thing for, somebody around the internet to see this and it get put out there, yada, yada, yada. But now a couple of things has happened. Number one, this clip was put out by USA Basketball themselves.
This was not shared by a random fan account, but rather by USA Basketball, not some aggregator of clickbait. This particular video of Paige Bueckers blocking Caitlin Clark's shot was selected by the official USA Basketball social media team and shared with millions of followers. You haven't been watching how women's basketball is run behind the scenes if you believe that was an accident.
Tell me USA Basketball doesn't have agenda? It shined through loud and proud when Diana Taurasi made the Olympic team. And Caitlin Clark didn't. Diana Taurasi proceeded to be somebody that was holding the bench down. At the end of the bench, not even able to play. Too old, too tired. Nah.
Recall that Diana Taurasi was selected for the 2024 Olympic team, but Caitlin Clark was left off. Taurasi hardly ever saw the Paris court. The squad that apparently needed veteran leadership could have benefited from the player who had just set the NCAAW all-time scoring record and was making headlines in the WNBA, but she was shackled to the bench because she was too exhausted to contribute. Although the choice didn't make sense in terms of basketball, it made perfect sense when you consider who is in charge of these rosters. The Yukon Pipeline, which has dominated American basketball for more than 20 years, includes Sue Bird and Gino Aria.
The Angel Reese fans, the Paige Bueckers fans, they wet themselves, right? Yeesh. That's not something you want to think about. And it's one thing for the most horrible place known to man, called social media, to try to take victory laps with this. I mean, okay, you sort of expect that out of the worst of the worst. Do you not? Question mark? But it's a...
Sue Bird and Paige Bueckers both tick the same boxes. That isn't conjecture. It is an observable fact. We're currently witnessing the media apparatus ramping up to defend what will happen next. The video is posted by USA Basketball. The engagement arrives. Early on, the story is established. When roster choices are decided for the 2026 World Cup or the 2028 Olympics, months of preparation have already been put in place to support Paige's superiority over Caitlin.
NBA insider Annie Costabile was among the media members present at Team USA training camp, and she addressed Clark's defense during the December 15th appearance on the Indy Stars Fever Insider podcast. Quote, "Her shot is still there. That was one of my leads, but that the shot of hers that we're all so familiar with is still there. Her speed was coming back, which I thought stood out. Obviously, her timing on passing, that was still impressive," Costabile said when I would assume Chloe Peterson asked her what stood out about Clark's Team USA performance.
Enter Andrea Carter, front office sports WNBA insider. During an appearance on the Indy Stars Fever Insider podcast, she addressed Caitlin's defense while attending the Team USA training camp on December 15th. "Her shot is still there," the quote says. "She was regaining her speed. Although her passing time was still remarkable, I believe that everybody who sees Caitlin's game recognizes that she needs to work on her defense." Observing her battle Kelsey Plum and then witnessing her and Paige clash. It's not a question of one versus the other, in my opinion. You're observing how these two players will work together in the future. Take note of the framing there. Not if they work together. One day, when they work together, the choices have already been made.
Then seeing her and Paige on each other. I don't think it's a matter of one versus the other. You're watching, kind of evaluating how these two players are going to operate together one day. And I think that was so more exciting than telling. I mean, it's funny. So we're going to take the one thing about Caitlin's game and we're going to go after Caitlin over it. You knew that was going to happen. This was going to happen. We're going to zero in on this one thing after she'd been injured. Played 13 games.
This is what Carter purposefully omitted from her defense. After recovering from an injury last season, Caitlin Clark participated in 13 games. 13 games. Because she was recovering, she didn't have a full offseason to practice defensive principles. She was controlling her return to play schedule, therefore she didn't have training camp to develop conditioning. And now, while still getting over rust, she attends a showcase event in December and all of a sudden, insiders are forced to talk about her defense on podcasts. Paige Bueckers, meanwhile, has missed a lot of time due to injuries during her time in college, including a tibial plateau fracture and an ACL tear. However, you don't hear the same scrutiny over how those injuries impacted her defensive positioning or lateral speed. There is unequal application of the standards.
Played like 3 times. Man, delete this. Yeah, this is USA Basketball posting this. I mean, what are they doing? They knew this was gonna be a Caitlin Clark versus haters post, and that the haters were gonna swarm this. To be honest, it's unprofessional that USA Basketball posted this and pointed it out. They knew that was going to get seized on. You're already trying to elevate.
Take a look at the USA Basketball Post's comment section. They were aware that this would occur. Her barbecued chicken was prepared by Paige. Clark is a liar. Any day, Paige would prefer Caitlin. As expected, the haters descended in droves. And that's the main idea. This video, which included excellent defense and a thrilling play, was not posted by USA Basketball. They shared it because they knew it would spark discussion, create a story, and provide ammo to those who have been attempting to discredit Caitlin Clark ever since she joined the league. This is the creation of a story in real time. You establish the impression early on, allow it to fester on social media for months, and then use it as proof when you make planned roster decisions.
That the haters were going to seize on this. Honestly. Please, someone please gift that. I can already hear the CC fans coming. See, I mean, they knew what they were doing. They knew. Cooked CC. Shout out to USA Basketball for giving us the content we wanted.
When it comes to this, the Yukon Mafia is not subtle. Even before Paige Bueckers participated in a single WNBA game, Gino Arama was already praising her. For many years, Subbard has served as the spokesperson for USA Basketball decision-making. Additionally, media insiders like Carter are framing the discussion around Caitlin's defensive shortcomings while presenting Paige as the likely pick for rosters in the future. In women's basketball, this is how the game is played. It doesn't matter who is now performing at the top level. When it comes to those making decisions, it all comes down to who fits the favored narrative and ticks the appropriate boxes.
Agenda. Propaganda. Tell me what you think. It is Caitlin Clark fans against everyone all over again. Here we go. Here we go. It's not even 2026 yet. So it begins. Peace.
This is what it actually boils down to. Women's basketball received previously unheard of attention because to Caitlin Clark, she sold out arenas. She brought in television viewership that the WNBA had not experienced in many years. She brought women's collegiate basketball to the attention of casual sports viewers, and she maintained that momentum throughout her freshman campaign. And despite all of that influence and cultural significance, she was excluded from the Olympic squad in favor of Diana Taurasi, who was unable to continue playing. We are now witnessing a repetition of the same pattern. USA Basketball uploads videos intended to scrutinize Caitlin and elevate Paige. Media insiders ignore the background of injury rehabilitation and limited practice time in favor of concentrating their critique on Caitlyn's defensive shortcomings. At the top levels of international play, roster construction is still influenced by the UConn ties. The most annoying thing is that none of this is under Caitlin Clark's control. What USA Basketball shares on social media is beyond her control. She has little influence over how media insiders present their podcast chats. She has no control over the prejudices of those who choose the roster. All she can do is play basketball at the highest level and hope that in the future, performance will take precedence over politics. However, if you've been following women's basketball for a while, you are aware of how this tale concludes. The UConn Mafia is self-sufficient. Suburbs' preferences are very important. Decision-makers and athletes like Caitlin Clark, who grew up outside of that system and didn't play for the proper college program or have connections with the right power brokers, are influenced by Gino Arama's views. For half the recognition, they must put in twice as much effort. The video that USA Basketball shared has nothing to do with honoring strong defense. It has to do with creating a story. And Caitlin Clark will be the subject of that story throughout the upcoming Olympic cycle. Regardless of how well she performs or how much she develops defensively, the agenda in women's basketball frequently takes precedence over accomplishment. As the 2026 World Cup draws near, keep an eye on what transpires over the next 18 months. Observe how Paige and Caitlin are portrayed in the media. Keep an eye on which players appear in USA Basketball advertising materials. When roster decisions are made, observe who is given the benefit of the doubt. Then, consider if the decisions are made to reward allegiance to the system and preserve control, or to put the best squad on the field. Caitlin Clark will continue her current course of action. She will prepare her defense. The fever will be led by her. She will present statistics that make it hard to overlook her influence. Will that, however, be sufficient to overcome the decades-long institutional bias in women's basketball? I wouldn't wager on it based on what we've previously seen. I have a question for you now. Will you accept the excuse that it was solely a basketball decision if Paige Bueckers is selected for the 2026 World Cup roster instead of Caitlin Clark, even if Caitlin has superior professional statistics and a bigger effect on the league? Or will you see it for what it truly is? The continuance of a trend that has been evident ever since the Olympic team was revealed, without the player who just changed the cultural significance of women's basketball. I assure you that this tale is far from over, so please share your thoughts in the comment section and click the subscribe button. Let's continue to observe how this develops. You